So this right here is my Grinch world record run. I'm just going to do some recommentating over it. So the run is 48:25, meets the previous world record by about 30 seconds. There are a couple major mistakes in it, but nothing too devastating. So right here is the tutorial area. Basically, you need to crush 5 boxes. Under the 5th will be a key, gets you into the next area. This part is very straightforward, just kind of teaching you the mechanics of the game. So right here, we run to the right side. That way we can trigger the cutscene as quick as possible. We'll move the rock over here. Make sure the camera is tilted all the way to the right. That way we get the best possible camera angle coming out of this cutscene. We're going to send Max over here to grab a key. He's going to pick up the key. He's going to bring it back to us. That way we can open the door. We can't select Max back to us because he won't bring the key, which is unfortunate. So here, this is just teaching us about our bad breath. So bad breath twice. Get a couple of cutscenes here. We're going to keep running forward. This just tells you how to interact with things. So I'm going to go down into the central hub here. So this hub is the level select of the game. There's 4 levels that will unlock through the course of the game. So the first one here is Whoville. We're going to run into it here. This is going to show off the first kind of minor time save in the game. So basically what's going to happen when we spawn in, we're going to trigger a couple of cutscenes, but we're going to have Max running ahead of us, and when we go to jump on the first snowman, we're going to trigger the cutscene as soon as we land on the snowman, because the cutscene has like a 2-second or 1-second buffer when it's loading it up right here. So that allows us to stand up or land on our feet depending on where we are in the animation. It just saves the time of getting up from the ground, basically. We're also going to send Max over here to stand on some eggplant spawn. So he picks it up, and he's also going to get the one that spawns every couple seconds here until we run out of range. Saves a little bit of time, plus it gives us a little extra bit of eggs. We got a little bit of bad RNG there. We got 3 instead of 5. Anything better than 1 is good, though, because 3 is still manageable. The rotten eggplant spawn is pretty much the only RNG factor in the game here. The only relevant one, anyway. So we come over here, we pick up this bucket here. It's an item. It's going to allow us to complete our second objective. So our 3 objectives in this area are crushing 10 snowmen, painting 10 posters, and shuffling the mail in the post office. So we steal the paint bucket from the painter after we launch him into oblivion. And now we're going to start defacing the posters of the mayor, as well as crushing snowmen. We're also going to pick up an item in a little bit. It's a cloak. It's going to help us with the rest of the game. Or, sorry, the rest of the level here. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. So fortunately, at this point in the run, we haven't run into many mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are another RNG factor. They don't hinder us as much as the eggplants if we can deal with them properly. There's one down there, but it's not going to hurt us too much. So this right here is the clock tower skip. The clock tower skip. So basically what's going to happen is we're supposed to sneak up here. But if we wake him up, and then wait about a half second and keep running, he'll wake up and he'll be unable to hit us because of the pattern in which he's shooting. It saves about 6 seconds. Sorry, it saves about 6 seconds over the previous strat, which was getting hit once and hoping, and it saves about 12 to 15 seconds over just sneaking up. So next we're actually coming up to the hardest jump in the game. It's that pole right there. That pole is very finicky in where it'll let you jump up to the ledge. So if you pull the camera all the way to the right and jump at just the right time, you'll be able to get up. It is very hard, and a lot of people have failed it. So it is one of the hardest parts in learning the run. Once you get the hang of it, though, it's pretty easy. So we're just going to finish off the snowmen and the posters here. We're going to pick up some eggplants along the way. We want to be looking at about 27 to 33 eggs once we get out of here. So there's only one more eggplant, which is going to be this one here. So we're at 29, which is pretty good. There are a couple backups that you could get. I don't go for them usually ever unless I really have to, like in a race or something. I typically just try to go for whatever I have and make it work. But anything less than 27, you're running really risky strats in the next level. So you want to be 27 to 33. Anything more than 30 is basically just buffer in case you miss. Missing isn't the end of the world as long as you have the eggs to cover yourself. So we're done with pretty much everything in this level. We're going to head over to the post office in just a second here. So we got 10 snowmen. We have one poster we're going to get on the way out, and then we're going to go shuffle the mail. So the mailroom is kind of complicated. Basically, the outside is guarded by cameras. So we're going to need Max to go in and open some doors for us. So first we need to run around the cameras without getting detected. They're on a cycle, so once you get the right cycle going, it's pretty easy to not get caught. So we're going to send Max through the pipes here, and it's going to send them inside the room. He's going to open the door from us, and then us from the outside, we're going to run in and shuffle some mail. So we're going to do this 4 times here. And then on the 5th time, we won't need to send Max in to open the door. We can just run in. After we do both of these rooms here, this room is a little bit longer than the other one. So these 2 tunnels here are longer than the other side because they're meant to be done last. But it doesn't really matter what order you do them in. So after these 2 rooms here, we're going to actually get caught by the camera intentionally. Basically what that does is instead of having to wait from a pattern to get to the other side, it's going to send us right back to the beginning, and we're going to be on the exact right pattern to run straight over to the left side. So even though it took me a second to actually get caught there, it still saves time over running around the back and then running back again. So it saves about 4 to 6 seconds. Like I said, these 2 are pretty easy. It's all the way to the left and then right on the right there. So we're going to shuffle all 4 pieces of mail here. And then on the 5th one, we're going to shuffle the mail, but we won't actually have to send Max in because the 5th door is unlocked once we unlocked all the other 4 doors. Unfortunately, going into the 5th mail room, we're going to pick up a heart piece, which is going to give us more health. It's not actually something we want. There are a lot of intentional death warps in the game, so it just takes us a little bit longer. Unfortunately, we're actually not able to skip this piece because it's right in the dead center and we can't avoid the hitbox. But it's the only piece we'll be getting throughout the game. All the others we either don't encounter in the speedrun or it's easy to run around them. So we're finished this area. We've picked up all of the blueprint pieces except one. One of them was being held by Cindy Lou Who, which we didn't actually see, but she was standing in the right ahead of us when we ran into the room, just on the right here. So she's actually left the mailroom now, and she was kind enough to leave us our blueprint. So we've got all of the blueprints for our rotten egg launcher. So that would be useful in this section of the game if we needed it right now. If we were doing a casual playthrough, but we're not doing casual, so we're not going to need it again in this level until the very, very end, when we return to it for all the slate pieces. So we're done here. We're going to go make the rotten egg launcher back at the Grinch cave. Basically, the gadgets in this game are created by sliding tile puzzles. They're pretty simple. So you basically move 2 pieces around and you get to rotate them, and then that's pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward. The earlier gadgets obviously have less pieces. The longer the game goes on, the more pieces they have. So this one right here only has 4 pieces. It's pretty simple. This is the other RNG factor of the game. It's how many times you need to rotate the pieces. So it's not too much RNG per se, but it is possible for pieces to be puzzles to be pretty much solved. You just need to move pieces around. The pieces, so each blueprint on the map will always be the same puzzle piece. So as long as you get everything in the same order, the pattern will always be the same. It just matters the rotation of the pieces what changes. So this is the second area here. This is Who Forest. We're going to enter this 2 times before we go on. So there's 3 objectives here. I'll get into that in a second. First, we're going to do a little bit of a time save here. So there's a puzzle piece behind the pipe. So basically what we do is we use Max to get it, and we set it up so that we move Max only on the return trip. That way it's easier to control him. Controlling Max with the analog stick does get pretty tricky because his movement changes based on your camera angle. And when you're not really able to see him, that gets pretty difficult. But so there's 3 objectives in this level. We have to bad breath 10 trees, we have to drop 10 beehives into houses, and we have to glue up the snow machine. So most of the trees are guarded by these guys here, so we have to shoot them before we're able to bad breath them. The next is the beehives, which we're going to throw into trees. We've done that once already, but for the most part, the houses in this level require another item, which we don't have yet. So we're getting all the pieces for that item before we do any more of the trees. The reason for there's only 7 of them you need it for, but the fastest way is to get the first one on the first try and then all the others on your return trip. So we're just going around, we're getting all the trees here. There's a puzzle piece here we're going to grab. We don't really grab any more eggplants unless they're right in our way. So right here, we're going to do another bit of a science save. We're going to also get Max to get another blueprint down here. So we're going to run him ahead of us. We're going to run just to the edge where the blueprint spawns. Max is going to pick it up, and then we're going to go on our way. I actually run a little bit farther than I needed to, just to make sure I got it. And then you jump up here. It's important that you miss 3 times, because, yes. So we're going to jump up here. So we're going to go left next time we come back, but right now we're just picking up all the puzzle pieces. So we're going to run over here and we're going to shoot down. There's an elevator in the center here, so we're going to shoot that target, which is going to drop it down. We only need to drop it down once in the run, but every time you use it, it goes back up. When we do our death warp, we're going to make sure it's in the right place. There is a blueprint at the top of that, though, which is why we shoot it down here instead of later on. So this is the last tree here. So we're going to shoot this guy, pick up the blueprint, and then bad breath it. If you wait to pick up the blueprint here, it is possible for the blueprint to despawn, which is why we make sure we pick it up first. There have been several runs that I've lost because I tried to pick up a blueprint afterwards, and it just despawned on me. That is a big problem in this game. Sometimes things will just despawn on you. So these here are the moose. They guard the beehives. So if you can bad breath them to get rid of them, but the next time you come into this area, they'll still have spawned unless you get rid of the present underneath them. That's the only one we need to get rid of the present for. It's the only one we visit twice. So here we're doing a death warp. So we go up there, we pick up our last blueprint, and we drop the beehive. It's way faster to just death warp from this area than it is to walk back to the start. So we're going to drop a beehive. Unfortunately, the beehive takes a little bit of time to actually death warp us, but we death warp here, which gets us back to the beginning. The next death warp we do in this level is going to be a little bit faster. But now we're going back. We're going to get the rocket jump or the spring jump or the spring pack or the rocket pack, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it turns our rotten egg fuel into propulsion, so we go higher in the air. And that's how we're going to get most of the trees in this area. So again, we do another slide and tile puzzle. This one has 9 pieces instead of 4. It's still pretty simple. So now we're going to go back into Who Forest. So we don't have to do any shenanigans with Max going behind to pick something up. However, we are going to send Max and try to pick up some rotten eggs on the left side. We're also going to use presents. So the second house in the level, the second house that in the level that we run into is a little higher than a normal jump to get up to, but there is a very, very convenient present right in front of it. So we're actually going to use that present. We're going to jump on top of the present, and we're going to use the momentum off of that to get on top of the house here. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the center part. So we're going to do the third house, the only other one you don't need a rocket jump for. The addendum to that. There's 4 of them you technically don't need. The 4th one is very hard, and it's not super consistent to get to it. I don't believe I get it in this run. I'm pretty sure I have to fall to the backup of using the rocket spring. I'll get to that jump a little bit later. But basically, the moose wasn't there because we got rid of him the last time we were here. We got rid of the present. We're going to run into 2 more moose throughout the run. And this right here is why we want the elevator back down after the death warp. If this wasn't here, we'd have to do this area last, which wastes a little bit of time, as well as shooting down the elevator because we had to watch the cutscene again. So once we're done up here, we're going to jump down here. We're going to do a jump here, which just barely gets us up here. One thing that we do use, especially since we have two weapons now, it's animation canceling. I actually didn't do it there, but basically the animation canceling, if you zoom in while you're switching a weapon, you're actually able to cut the animation out, so you just immediately... So if you zoom in, zoom out, you cancel the animation. We use that a lot throughout the run. Especially once we start getting into more and more weapons. So I run over here and I grab these eggs as a safety measure. I'm pretty sure that's spawned with only one, but more often than not, that spawns with 3. This level is very, very bad if you run out of eggs, because there's no convenient spots to pick up eggs, and they usually spawn with little to none. So anytime you run into a plant that you think has more than one, it's worth picking up. If it has one, it's not worth the time it takes to pick it up. But anything that you've seen there for more than a while that'll have more than one is worth picking up. If you watch an eggplant spawn, it's always going to be worth 1. If it's been on air spawned for a longer period of time, it'll be worth more. There are some that just spawn that can have 5 depending on the area. So this one here is a 1. Even though we didn't just load it, or even though we just loaded it, it is possible for it to be 5 once we've loaded the top area. Here we didn't get so lucky. So this is going to be the third mission, or the second mission, I guess. This is throwing glue into the snow cannon. So we just picked up glue right there, so now we're going to jump up here and we're going to clog it up with the glue. So that's that mission done. So the final mission we have to do is finishing up the beehives. We only have 2 more left. This house right here is the one that you don't have to use the rocket pack for. There is a very weird angle where you can double jump up onto it. It is... The game has a tendency to force physics on you. Force weird physics, that is. Oh, I don't even go for the jump here, yeah. So there's a lot of times where the game will just decide that the game physics act differently. That jump is one of them. So you'll usually get kicked off the roof even though you just barely land on top of it. It's kind of a weird jump. Typically, if you miss it once, you just rocket up. It's not too much of a time waste if you miss it. It's only like a 2 or 3 second time save. So you waste about 3 seconds, or you save about 3 seconds. So now we're done here, we're going to do our death warp. So you run into the house, and then you run to this spot here. So because there's already bees in here, you don't have to go get another hive. So you save an egg, you save the time to go get it. As well, these actually hurt you more than the beehives from the bees from the beehive. So it makes the death warp a lot faster. So now we're going into a third area here. This is the Who Dump. We don't actually have to make an item before we go into here. We'll be making one on the way out, though. So this one here is the hardest level in terms of platforming. There is an area, it's called the minefield area. We'll get to that in a little bit. That is pretty risky. But besides that, this level is not too bad. So there's 3 objectives here that we're going for. We have to channel So we have to get 10 slices of pizza from these birds here. Then we have to channel the steam into the dump owner's house. And the final one is cutting the dump owner's hair. So what we're doing here is we're shooting... we had to shoot those 2 robots with nitro eggs, which are special items or special ammo in this level only. They're going to electrocute us if we don't get rid of them, so we need to get rid of them so we can get to where we need to go. This one here was blocking a pipe we need to link. Then we also shoot the birds here to get some pizza. And then finally, we're going to run over here and get this pipe, and then we're going to jump down in that column, the other pipe. At the bottom of the pipe is going to be a button or a switch, which will drop the electricity guarding the blue and green areas, which is where we want to go next. We actually jump a little weirdly here, that way we avoid that present. That present would waste time because we'd have to jump twice, so we're actually able to get around it. It does make getting down the pipe a little awkward, but it's manageable. So right here, this is another thing the game likes to do. Things don't happen unless the camera is on it. So because I jumped off and the camera wasn't on it, I had to switch my camera over before it worked and actually counted as occurring. I don't think it happens in this run, but there have been some runs where so there was a couple runs where ammo despawned even though it had already hit its target because I zoomed out. There was a bird. I shot with the egg. It hit the bird. I zoomed out because I zoomed out because I knew it was going to hit. I watched it hit as I was zooming out, but because I had zoomed out, the game had decided it didn't happen. It's not a big time waste, but it's still a time waste, so that can happen. So in here, we've closed a couple pipes here. We got a blueprint. We're going to shoot some more birds. This level's pretty straightforward. Basically, we're just getting all the pizza, all the pipes. There's the blueprints pretty much scattered everywhere. That is the dump site manager. We're going to deal with him in a little bit. First, we got to go through the minefield. But we're going to close all these pipes here. We're going to pick up the pizza. So the pipes appear in 3 different varieties, if you've seen. There's the ones you have to shoot, there's the ones you have to spin around on, and then there's the one in the previous area which you just have to push. So I get shot a couple times here, which isn't too bad. So we're coming up on one of the major skips of the game. This was found by Jumpy Luff. So basically, there's an item we should have gotten already. It's called the Slime Shooter. So special ammo despawns when you load. So we don't have any nitro eggs, and there's no nitro egg spawns. So this guy's going to shoot us no matter what. Except we found out that if you have Max right there underneath the bed when you shoot it down, the robot actually won't shoot you. Now, the usual way to do this level is you jump from the first platform to the second platform, which saves time, but is a very, very precise jump. It's pretty well frame perfect. There's only a 2 or 3 frame window where you can actually land it. I opted to go for the rocket jump there because it's safer. So the minefield, if you fall onto it, you get like about a 10-second cutscene. It sends you all the way to the beginning. So it's very, very punishing to miss, which is why I went for the safety rocket spring there. So we pick up scissors, which is important for this task right here. So we're in this house here. Basically, we need to sneak once we hit the stairs, but on the bottom we can jump as long as we don't use any weapons or ground pound. And then we're going to sneak up here and cut this guy's hair. It actually looks like we cut his face off if you look at his sprite afterwards, but apparently we just cut off his hair. So after that, we automatically walk outside the house. There's one more blueprint we need to get, then we're going to intentionally jump on the mine so we get sent back to the beginning. And this is the cutscene here. Takes about 7 to 10 seconds to fully get back your control, plus losing your progress, so it is very punishing. We're going to pick up those 20 eggs there. It is possible that we don't need them, but it's just safety. It's a couple seconds there to get a guaranteed 20 as opposed to later on where it could take us a lot longer to get what we need. So now we're going to go to the final area of this level. So first we need to knock this guy down. So we're going to hit him with a crane here. Or a wrecking ball, rather. Then we're going to jump down. We're going to get a blueprint, hit a switch, and then jump out. And unfortunately here I lose a little bit of time. So I get electrocuted when on my way up, so I waste 15 seconds. Which is very unfortunate. This is one of my 2 big time losses of the run. I completely waste 15 seconds here and 15 seconds a little later on. So I could have had a lot better time, but that's neither here nor there. So I'm going to miss this here completely. I'm going to jump back in. I realistically was very close because I got electrocuted, but jumping right back in by mistake really hurt me. But anyway, moving forward, I'm going to go into the next area here, which was blocked to us until recently. It's blocked until you get every other piece of steam, or you reroute every pipe except for the following one. Huh. I completely forgot that I didn't go to the blue area yet. So this part of the run was back in the route where we do green area before blue area, which is incorrect. It actually wastes a bit of time. But I did green area for blue area. So now we're actually, instead of going to the other area, we're going to come over here to the blue area. So first things first, we're going to send Max down here and get that nitro egg. We're actually going to get 2 because we need 2 of them. So there's robot up here we need to get rid of. And robot over here. We're going to shoot the birds. We're going to drop us some pizza. We're going to jump up here. We're going to successfully do this jump. You need to rocket jump up here to get it. And then if you... it's possible to turn around mid-air, so you don't have to turn around spinning, but it's a little trickier. So this area is pretty straightforward. Just some birds, some pipes we need to shoot. That's it. At the bottom here is going to be a robot that we don't have. There's also a switch that we don't need to deal with. That's only if we don't death warp. But there's a pipe of blueprint. We're going to connect to this, and then we're going to spring up. So this death warp in this area is a lot quicker than the one we did in Who Forest. Because the bees hit us very slowly. There's actually an area over here where we can get electrocuted really quickly. It's a specific area. Typically it would send you back really far. But we can basically run into the quarter repeatedly. I actually do make a mistake here. I should have done shooting this and the birds before I picked up the blueprint, but I accidentally ran into it. Wasted a little bit of time because you actually aren't able to pull anything up while that text is there. So I can't aim or anything. I do this death warp here. Now we're going to go to the final area, which is the pipe area. So there's another puzzle right over here that we're going to do. So I pick up that nitro egg for the enemy down here. There's a final one guarding the area we need to go to. So we're going to shoot that. We're going to do a quick puzzle here. Basically, it's to finish rerouting all the steam. And then we're also going to grab the final bird pizza from the birds over here. So we're going to do this quick puzzle. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 1. Counting 1 as a valve. We're gonna get a quick Grinch cutscene. And we're gonna go ahead and finish this area here as soon as we stop getting caught on bad hitboxes. Gonna get another skippable cutscene, then we're gonna have to walk back to the main hub there. Now the cutscenes, if you notice the cutscenes have been a little wonky, it's because I'm running on fastest disk speed on a PS2. So it really hurts the cutscenes and what they look like. Depending on which cutscene it is, it also affects the audio. But that's mostly just the ending cutscene. So I had a lot more time to save there. Unfortunately, I screwed it up. But now we're going to make our next piece, which is the octopus climbing device. It's used for exactly one place in the next level, and that's it. It's used to climb long walls with grooves in them. So now we're in the Who Lake. So the Who Lake has 2 separate areas that we're going to go to. The first area has 10 boy shorts that we need to shoot with thistles, which we get from a specific enemy. The thistles are, again, the special ammo in this area. And we also have to get hit by bats 3 times when we shouldn't have been. Crust 10 tents, Thistle 10 boy shorts, and Poke 10 holes in different boats. So the first two areas is 10 tents and 10 boy shorts. So we're going to run over here, we're going to get special ammo. A reason we don't get the blueprint on the way here is because then we wouldn't be able to pull up the gun when we need it. Running back this way, however, the text box is gone by the time we need it. So once we've done all that, we're going to run over here and we're going to go up to the top where we're going to fight the mini-boss of the game. Or the mini-boss of this level. There are multiple mini-bosses that you would encounter in a casual playthrough. But this is the only one we really encounter besides the final boss. So there's 3 stages to this. Basically, we need to... He's a scout leader and we need to steal his clothing. So we have to fight him a little bit. Basically, he's going to have a slingshot and he's going to start shooting at us. So we bad breath him. And then he gets angry at us while he's eating his lunch. So he throws his dinner away and destroys the table. And then he's going to start attacking us. So we had to wait for him to shoot 3 times on stage 1 and stage 2. After that, we bad breath him. On stage 2, we bad breath him and then ground pound him. I actually miss it in this, and I waste 15 seconds because I missed it. Actually, I only really wasted 10. I wasted 5 getting hit by bats and stuff like that. But I waste some time here, so I had to redo it. This boss is very, very easy to one-cycle all of the stages. I just screwed up really majorly here. And on the third one, he kind of goes berserk, so he's going to charge at us. What we want to do is we want to lure him to one of the moose heads, and then when he's close, we're going to double jump so he hits the wall. Moose head falls on him. We steal his shorts, and then we're good with our disguise. So we run out of here. Now we're going to continue the rest of this stage. So we're going to pick up some thistles here because there's 2 boy shorts at the top where there's no thistle spawn up there. So we're going to need 2 of them. We're going to pick up 3 just in case we miss one. It's possible to only do it with 2. Again, because there's another thistle spawn. And the ammo really just the third ammo, if you don't miss, just gets in the way. That doesn't waste too much time. If you don't miss, the thistle can just be double tapped to get rid of it when you do need to use regular ammo. So we're going to climb all the way up to the top here. This is the only part where the octopus climbing device is useful in any percent. We're going to thistle 2 shorts on the side here. Then there's a couple tents and a blueprint up here, plus an enemy we're going to have to wake up by shooting a beehive on top of him, because we're nice guys like that. And so if you'll notice there, I actually missed. A reason I unscoped is because I shot twice and just assumed the first one was the thistle not hitting. The thistle doesn't count, so I just assumed that the second one would hit. So now after we're done that, we're going to swing across this rope here. We need the rocket jump forward, of course. We're going to swing across, get the final area up here done. Then after that, we're going to jump down, finish all the areas down there. There is a neat little jump we do in this area. Typically, you would have to push a rock to complete the jump, but we've actually found out a way where you can complete the jump without moving the rock. You'll see that in just a second here. But first, we're going to swing up at the top here. We're going to get all the blueprints and tents up here. Then we're going to systematically go through the bottom. I don't know why I'm... So right here, I'm trying to jump off, but it wasn't working, so I just kept swinging. So eventually, I just let go. It is faster to just jump off. Switch around, or switch directions, then jump off, instead of just letting go, because it takes time to wind down. But I missed 5 different triangles, so I just let go. So I actually am not doing animation canceling the way I should be doing it here, but... So I get bodied off of this tent by the wall here, because the wall has great hitbox. But we've got all the tents over down here, so now we're going to do the jump. So we can actually stand way off the edge of this and still be on it somehow, which gives us the distance we need to actually get up here as long as we fully charge. So there's a tent and a blueprint up here. We can get the tent, get the blueprint, jump down, get another blueprint. We're going to get the rest of the, or not the rest of the boy shorts, but we're going to get 3 more boy shorts over here. And then we're on home stretch for this area. There is a second area, which we're going to have to switch into our disguise for. Now, once we're in a disguise, we can't use any of our abilities, so our gadgets or our bad breath. So we can only double jump and run around. So we're going to finish off the tents here. Then there's 2 more boy shunts and a blueprint behind us. Then we're going to get changed and run to the next area. So the next area, the only objective we have is to poke 10 holes into boats. So what we're going to have to do in order to get that is we're going to have to get the item in the next area that does that, as well as getting the rest of the blueprints we need to create the marine mobile. So the marine mobile, we need to get the sleigh parts, which is right after this level, actually. So we're going to run in here. Now we're a scout leader. They don't know us. We're not a Grinch at all. No Grinch is here. Just your fellow scout leader friend. Who's green. Skin condition. I don't want to talk about it. So there are some birds here that can kind of pester you if you're slow, but as long as you do everything without mistakes, they'll never catch up to you. Jump down, pick up that blueprint here, and then we're looking to send Max to do something, but these moose down here will body us if we don't jump up here, so we're going to jump up here first, and we need to go this way anyway. Then we're going to send Max over here, so he's going to pick up a puzzle piece here. He's also going to knock over some paint cans so he looks like a skunk. There's an area here guarded by a scout leader, but there's a nice female skunk down here. So just like in the movie when Max attracted a female skunk, we're going to grab a female skunk over here, make it fall in love with us, and then we're going to run over here and we're going to scare a scout leader off. And then after that, Max jumps in a lake, washes all the paint off, and swims back to shore in that short cutscene, because he washes all the paint off himself. Goes for a nice swim. Then he's going to run over here, pick up this blueprint. We're going to switch back to Grinch here. So this here is one of the most frustrating parts of the game, because this is an enemy we don't deal with unless it's 100%. But he hogs the camera angle, so he makes getting up here pretty difficult. So in here we're going to pick up the item we need, as well as the blueprints. And then we're going to go to the Sonic Scarecrow, which is a tricky bit of platforming. Basically, we have 8 seconds to make all of these these jumps before the Scarecrow blocks our way. The jumps are actually pretty simple to do, but missing it up means you have to go through getting up to that again, so it wastes about 30 seconds. So now we're going to start drilling holes into the boats. So we're going to do these 2 up here, and then there's a crate over here with there's a rock over here which we're going to push down, which will crush a crate that has a blueprint in it. Then we're going to do all of the bottom area down here. There is a risky strat for doing some of these boats here. I don't go for it in this, I believe, because I was a little worried about the water. So basically the strat is there's 3 boats you need to pull in. They're in the water, you need to pull them in, which you do by spinning around on a pole. And then after that, the fastest way to get off is to high jump. So there's 2 different jumps. You've seen it throughout the game here. Long jump will send you into the water, and if you get sent into the water, you respawn at the beginning of this level, so on the other side of that bridge in the distance, which wastes a lot of time. So the fastest way is to high jump. Long jump sends you in. It's about a fraction of a second difference between the 2. So instead I opt for doing 3 slower strats, but not getting thrown into the water and losing the run. We ignore that Heart of Gold because we are potentially going to have to do a final Death Warp later on. There is a Death Warp. You don't always go for it. It just depends on whether or not you miss the 2 cycle and you have to go for a 3 cycle instead. I'll get to that in a little bit here. But there's 2 more boats. And I believe, so there is a little bit of RNG in this level. Just like the first level, there are mosquitoes that can spawn. However, in the first level, we have a bad breath, which will deal with it. And the mosquitoes in that level don't bother us when we're in costume. However, in this level, the mosquitoes will bother us even if we are in costume. So getting a spawn anywhere else isn't bad, except if it spawns here, which it tends to do. So if the mosquito comes over here, it will actually knock you out of this push animation about 4 times. So it wastes a lot of time. Fortunately, it wasn't here, so I didn't have to deal with it. So I'm going to pick up this blueprint. This is the final boat I have to do. And then we're on the final stretch of the game. So this is the 4 levels we completed. We are going to have to revisit every level to pick up some sleigh parts. There are 5 sleigh parts we have to pick up in order to go complete the final boss. So we're going to finish this. It's going to port us back to the Grinch cave. From there, we're going to create the Grinch mobile, which is just a submarine. And then we're going to have to go revisit every level and do a bunch of different mini games in order to get the sleigh pieces. First of all, the marine mobile, it's 16 pieces. It's a big puzzle, but it's still solved pretty quickly. I screwed up a little bit here, but I don't lose too much time doing that. So there's 5 parts we need to get and 4 levels. So there's 2 parts in the Who Lake area. So we're going to get the first one, which is underneath. This is one of the most infuriating minigames. It's actually the most infuriating minigame that you do in the speedrun, as well as one of the hardest areas just in general because of the poor vehicle mechanics. So the controls are very bad. You might not get it quite how bad they are by watching, but they are pretty bad. So I go for a weird start here, and I actually missed the pearl I was trying to grab, so I do waste a little bit of time here. But basically I have to pick up 10 pearls in 45 seconds. The controls here are very difficult, and the turn radius is very bad. So a lot of the time I will slow down so I can turn. I'm using turbo speed here to get it done quickly. So after that, we're going to go to the second minigame in this level, which is the crows. And by that I mean we're going to do the John Carl skip. So a good buddy of mine, John Carl's, found a skip for the second minigame. And by found a skip, I mean he found out that it wasn't actually necessary to do the other minigame because that part isn't relevant to the sleigh. So we can just skip it and go on to the next level. That minigame is actually the worst minigame of the 5. It's the most difficult. Requires shooting 10 birds in 15 seconds using a finite amount of ammo, whatever ammo you happen to have, which at this point in the run is usually not enough. The bird spawns don't actually start till 10 seconds, and they fly weird, so it's just a very bad minigame. Big shout-outs to John Carlos for figuring out a skip for that. So this part here, we're going to do, it's basically we're playing chess, so we need to position these chess pieces in a specific way to get the next piece. The way is shown in the windows of this building. You can see if you look into them. But it's pretty simple. So the horse, or the knight, moves like a knight. The bishop moves like a knight. And then the rook moves like a bishop. Pretty simple stuff. Once you've done all that, you go pick up the final piece. The camera angle in this area is pretty punishing. Not only does it change in weird places depending on where you are, the direction your camera is angled also dictates where you're actually moving the piece. So pushing right could actually pull it back depending on where the camera angle is. Even if the Grinch is moving right, or hitting right would normally move the Grinch, whatever is right of the Grinch. So here we're actually going to miss this here. It would have been faster had I got it, but it's possible to jump up that pipe and actually land on top of the fence and jump over without using the rocket spring. It's not too difficult to get on, but it's also understandable to fall off. The hitbox of it is a little weird, so I tried to jump over here, which isn't something you can always do. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Probably wasn't worth the risk, but it's not too much of a time loss. The 2 final Grinch Sleighmobile parts aren't that bad to get. The first one, you just have to win a race with Max. So this punk kid over here thinks he can beat your dog. So you agree to a race. The kid gets to jump up platforms and everything, whereas you have to take the long way around and use ramps and everything. But you're still way faster than the kid. As long as you take care not to fall off any platforms, you're fine. This ramp right here, it is possible to fall off. That'll cost you the race in about 15 to 20 seconds. The final one as well is also possible to do it, and that loses a lot of time. You have to redo the entire race, basically. But once we get up to the ski lift here, we get the skis, and then we can move on to the next part. So the final part here returns to Whoville. This one here, it has a death warp if you miss the 2 cycle and have to go for a 3 or 4 cycle. But basically, there's a truck running or driving around, and every once in a while it'll open its back doors and you have to shoot inside. Once you've shot a certain amount of times, it'll explode, drop what you need. If you get it in 2 cycles or less, typically 2 cycles, then you can just walk back. However, if you miss the 2 cycle and have to go for a 3 cycle, it's faster to walk over to a kid and have him hug you to death, so you death warp back to the beginning. So here I miss pretty much everything, so pretty much have to go for a 3 cycle. It is still possible to do 2 cycle, but it's very unlikely. Again, it doesn't waste too much time. Fortunately, since I'm already over here, I can do a death warp with the kid. I was actually pretty close to a 2 cycle, to be honest. So now I just walk over here, and this kid's going to hug me to death, and I'm going to warp back to the beginning. And we're going to be able to go take on Santa Claus. So the final stage of the game comes into 2 sections. So first I have to go up to the 2nd floor of the Grinch cave, which I actually haven't been to yet. I'll get a quick cutscene, and then we're going to go do the boss fight. So the boss fight comes into 2 different sections. The first one is not the Grinch, is Santa Claus trying to deliver presents, and he actually, we find out how Santa Claus does it. So instead of actually going into every kid's house, he actually just drops presents into the house's chimneys. The presents have parachutes on them. So we're actually going to use this to our advantage. So as soon as Santa Claus over here drops one, we're going to pick it up before it has a chance to parachute into the chimney. And we're going to do that to all 10 of the presents. And then after we've stolen all the presents, we're actually just going to gun Santa down. But I'm a little bit ahead of myself. So Santa Claus follows a set path. It's pretty straightforward. The controls in this are pretty bad. They are pretty garbage. But with a little bit of practice, it's pretty consistent to be able to get the presents. If the presents drop too high above you, the game will treat it as if it's unobtainable, and you'll have to reset from the beginning. Likewise, if the present gets too far or too close to the ground, the game will deem it unobtainable, and you'll have to reset. So this one here, even though you don't have a time limit, you really do have a time limit, and you also should keep your distance, that way it doesn't spawn above you. So now we're going to shoot Santa down. So we just have to shoot him 10 times. The controls on this are pretty bad, but there are some ways where once you've figured out what angle you're driving at, you can hit him pretty quickly. So I believe I take a little longer than normal to shoot him down here, but I still do get a pretty quick Santa Claus. And on this final shot here, which I take a long time to get here. This is a really long Santa. As soon as he gets shot down, that's it. We get a cutscene here. Basically, we watch Santa get shot down. All of the kids, all the Who's are going to be disappointed, and then eventually they're just going to sing and everything. This is my Grinch commentary. Hope you